Hi everybody, I'm Eric. It's that September, October, November time frame, and anybody who knows me very well knows that the fall season is my favorite time of year because it's hunting season. I save all my vacation days for these 3 months and use them to go traipse around the woods with my buddies after big game animals. So after a successful antelope hunt, I was packing up my gear for a first rifle season elk hunt. I have a cow tag, and we decided we might as well shoot a video of a pack dump video to show everybody what I carry on this backcountry 5-day backpacking trip. So we're going to do it in sections. We're going to start with rifle, and then we'll go into clothing, and then we'll unload the pack, and then we'll do some more detailed, shorter videos of the kits that are inside of the pack. So let's jump right in and get started. Let's talk about my rifle first. The rifle I carry for elk hunting is a Tikka T3 Light in 300 Winchester short mag. I've got a Thunder Beast suppressor on it. It is legal to hunt with a suppressor in Colorado, and I really enjoy that because it's just not near as loud and it's a lot easier on my ears. I've got 3 magazines that I carry with me in the side pockets of my backpack. These are some custom hand loads I did that I was able to get them down to about half MOA accuracy. 180 grain Barnes TSX bullet. The scope on my gun is a Burris Veracity, which is one of their top of the line hunting scopes. It's 4-20. I really like it because you can crank it down to 4 when you're walking in the tight trees, but the 20 power will reach out there if you need to scope things that are further out. My scope covers, I looked really hard for some decent scope covers. Those Butler Creeks and some of those ones you buy, you break them every year. So I actually found some Vortex scope covers. They weren't cheap, but they're much, much stronger and much better than some of the cheaper ones you're going to find. So very important to have scope covers. We're expecting to get some snow and rain, and if you don't have somebody to cover your scope, it's really not going to do you much good. You can see the gun, it's got a strap, and it's sitting on a tripod. I'm all about having multiple use for my stuff, so we'll talk about glass, binoculars, and using the tripod there. The tripod is a Leupold carbon fiber tripod, and I built this custom shoe to put the gun in, and the gun fits right in there. And I built it out of Kydex and leather, and it just fits right on top of the tripod so that I can shoot off of this. My preferred way to shoot, if I can, is to go prone and lay the rifle on my backpack, but this is also a good way if I have time to set it up. You can also see that I have all of my yardages and holdovers figured out and taped onto the gun. I've shot the gun a lot. I'm good with the gun out to probably 700. I wouldn't shoot that far on an elk, but if I could get a shot that was 500 yards and in with a good solid rest and no crazy wind, I think I'm fully capable of that shot. So that's the gun. Now let's talk about clothing. All right, so let's go over my clothing. And we did get a weather report the other day, which kind of changed my whole plan. Even though it's early October, the place we're going is we're going to camp at 10,200 feet, about 4 miles up into wilderness area. And they're calling for snow all 4 days. And I've hunted up there before, and this place is kind of a weather anomaly. And when it says it's going to snow up there, it's definitely going to snow. So I'm packing accordingly. So for the hike up, I'm going to be wearing merino boxers, synthetic KUIU t-shirt. I will wear the Axis pants, the KUIU Axis pants. If it's real hot, I can unzip the hip vents and let a lot of air in. So I really like these because they're great in the snow, but they also have these hip vents that I can unzip and cool out a little bit. I will also have the Axis jacket, which again I like because it's not a raincoat. I do have a raincoat in my pack, but it is fairly waterproof. I won't break out the raincoat unless it's really coming down. Probably won't need to wear this up because it's a pretty good hike, but if I need it, this will be handy. I have some Lecky carbon fiber trekking poles, very lightweight. Trekking poles are nice, not only for the hike up, but if you get an elk and you have an 80-pound plus pack, having some trekking poles is very, very helpful and much easier on your knees and everything else when you got to carry that heavy load. So these will go up with me. Blaze orange vest. Again, I've invested quite a bit into KUIU clothing. I really like their stuff. It's not cheap stuff. It is definitely an investment, but it's good stuff. So KUIU blaze orange vest. I will have a First Light merino beanie or a cap depending on the weather. Those will go up with me. Switching things up a little bit for boots this year. I hope I don't regret it. I've always been a kind of a traditional leather insulated boot guy, like Kenetrex or something like that. That's usually what I hunt in. But this year I'm going to go with these Scarpa synthetic boots, waterproof. I hope I don't regret it. Pair of darn tough socks for the hike up. I also really like sock liners to keep me from blistering. So I'll have those on the way up. And big fan of gaiters. Even if it's not snowing, if you're walking through brush in the morning when there's dew on the ground, gaiters are going to save you from getting everything soaking wet. What happens is the top of your boots get wet and then it just wicks down into your socks. So you'll see me wearing gaiters most of the time unless it's just hot and dry. So I'll have those on the way up. I like these little First Light merino gloves, fingerless, pretty good for the hike up. Again, if it's really cold when we leave the truck, I'll probably wear the same ones that have fingers, but these are the ones I'm planning on wearing up. So that'll do it for the clothing that I'm gonna wear up the hill. Let's talk a little bit about glass and then we'll dive into the pack. So I'm taking 2 sets of binoculars with me. I'm taking the Leupold Santiam 15 by 56 binoculars for spotting. So we're gonna have the tripod. I'm not gonna take a spotting scope. I've got a cow tag. So all I need to do is identify that they're elk. I don't need to use a spotter to figure out how big a bull is or anything like that. If it's an elk and it's a cow elk, I'm going after it to put meat in the freezer. So I'm gonna spot with these. I do have a tripod adapter. These 15 power binoculars are almost impossible to use offhand. You really need to put them on a tripod. So I'll pop the gun rest off, pop the tripod adapter for the binoculars, and we'll glass with these. When I'm walking around, again, these are hard to use offhand, so when I'm walking around, I have some Steiner 10 by tactical binoculars. I really like these binoculars. Very clear. They don't fog up. I've had really good luck with these. And these are good enough for walking around and looking for game as I'm moving. I don't have to put them on the tripod. So I'll have those in the binocular harness around my chest. Also in the harness, I have a laser rangefinder. It's the SIG Kilo 2200. I've learned to put them on a lanyard here because I don't want to lose it, and I've dropped one of these before and had to search for it. So I've got it on a lanyard, but really nice laser rangefinder for getting those longer shots dialed in. I always carry some wind checker, just talcum powder, odor-free talcum powder in there that you squeeze out and it'll tell you which way the wind's blowing. Okay, so elk will smell you long before they see you and long before you see them, so it's important to watch the wind. The bottom pocket down here, I have my headlamp. Always like to have a headlamp handy. I don't want to have to go digging for it if it gets dark. So headlamp and an extra battery. I've switched things up this year, and most of my equipment I can charge with a USB port, and I'll show you the battery and the cables that I brought. But headlamp, this is a Petzl headlamp and an extra battery. Calls, diaphragms. For bugling, I do have just a cheap grunt tube. Even though it's in October, I've been talking to some archery hunters, and I think the rut is late this year, so I think there's a good chance that we're going to be out hunting during the rut. I'm pretty proficient bugling. I'm also pretty proficient blowing cow calls with these. So I've got those on me handy. And then I also always just carry my hunting tag in this pocket, so it's always on me. If you like the video, hit like and please subscribe to our channel, and good luck out hunting. Thanks a lot.